All right, going to call this one Carnage Carney. If Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives want to borrow that, go right ahead. Is Canada about to see Soviet-style housing? That's what I want to get into in this video. Build Canada Homes, new federal housing agency, $13 billion investment. They want to start with 4,000 homes. Just to put this into perspective here, that's less than 1% of the homes we need to be constructing annually in Canada, according to the CMHC. So this is a drop in the bucket. These projects will be started on sites in Nova Scotia, Quebec, Manitoba, Alberta, and Ontario, not in Vancouver, not with our land costs. Construction should start in 2026. I'm of the opinion you won't see these getting completed into the 2030s. That's what happens when government gets involved in this. You're going to see massive cost overruns, over time, over budget. That's why we have developers. That's why we have the free market. They're much more efficient at allocating capital. So there's two approaches to Canada's housing situation. There's my own approach, which is largely shared by my clients. These people are generally homeowners, business owners, entrepreneurs. They're investors. They invest in real estate. They have stock portfolios, and they understand that the private sector is the backbone of the economy. That's what pays for everything. They largely see the government as the enemy, which they are. Government just wants their pound of flesh here. My clients, in most cases, have had enough taxes, enough heavy-handed regulations. They understand we need to galvanize the free market enterprise system and build the millions of new homes that we need Canada-wide. That's what the Conservatives ran on. We need to build the homes, get shovels in the ground, infrastructure projects, forestry, mining, liquefied natural gas. We need to get the economy churning again here, guys. There's no reason why Canada should be struggling. We should be the wealthiest country on earth here. Another perspective, though, and I see it in the comments section, these people are furious. They're angry. I understand the frustration. They're priced out of the market. Most of them tend to be renters, and they want to blame the investors, the speculators, the greedy development industry, the realtors such as myself, the foreign money. They want to see more heavy-handed taxes. Let's tax these fat cat homeowners, and let's redistribute the wealth according to equity and inclusion or whatever. Now listen, if you can think of a fairer system than capitalism, leave it in the comments here. I'd like to know what that looks like. I can't think of a fairer system. You work hard, you hustle, you get ahead. You don't, you fall behind. I can't think of a more fair system than that. But these guys, a lot of the times, they tend to lean socialist. A lot of them are in the public sector. Of course, the Liberals under Justin Trudeau, all the jobs they created were in the bloated public sector. They haven't created any private sector jobs whatsoever. Guys, this is not sustainable, and it's going to continue under Carney. These guys, though, seem to think that government is their friend, and I'm here to tell you they're not. They're here to line their own pockets, take their pound of flesh, tax you until you're dead, and when you're dead, they're going to try and tax your inheritance. That's the government for you. They're not looking out for you. But this whole bureaucracy, this housing plan of Mark Carney, is all centered around the idea of modular housing. This is a huge conflict of interest, guys. This guy used to be the chair of Brookfield Asset Management, which had huge investments in modular. This is what happens. This is Socialism 101. He's going to award contracts to all his buddies and insiders. It's Socialism 101. Capitalism for me, socialism for everyone else. Where it gets interesting here is that Carney appointed Gregor Robertson. Now, if you don't know who this guy is, if you're outside of Vancouver, he was the former Vancouver mayor, oversaw Vancouver during one of the fastest price escalations in Vancouver's history in the real estate market. And he was a big advocate of these temporary modular homes. So you see now where he fits into Carney's master plan. Anybody who lives next to one of these, I want you to weigh in the comment section, because my understanding is these have been flashpoints for crime. Neighbors saw ambulance, fire, police calls absolutely skyrocket. Leave it in the comments here. I'd like to know what you guys think of this. But if Gregor Robertson couldn't manage Vancouver, why on earth would you put him in charge of Canada's housing here? It doesn't make any sense. I thought it was a joke when I first heard this. And I think this guy is going to nationalize Vancouver's housing crisis and bring it to the rest of Canada. Pierre Poilievre, I'm going to quote here. We have the builders, the trades, the companies. They want to get building. What's standing in the way is bureaucracy, and Mark Carney, his solution is to build yet another bureaucracy. He's right. So this is what it means for Canadians. I think there's going to be a further divide between the wealthy and connected. They're going to own the prime real estate in Vancouver. and the rest of you guys that are going to be living in these glorified shipping containers. This has been tried before. It was tried in Soviet Russia, or the former Soviet Union, I should say. Big slabs of concrete. These were modular. They would slap them together. Big Soviet housing blocks. This has been tried before and failed. So this plan is a failure right out of the gate. It's not going to put a dent in the housing crisis here. I don't think most Canadians understand the magnitude of this housing crunch that we have in Canada. We should be building, or we are building, around 245,000 homes a year. According to CMHC, we need to be building between 430 and 480,000 homes a year. So we're falling further and further behind with this Liberal government. That 4,000 homes that Carney wants to construct, that's a rounding error. Won't even make a dent. And now what I'm really concerned about is interest rates. The hiking cycle is over. Interest rates are starting to come down again. We just had the Bank of Canada announce a quarter-point drop. We're probably going to see, according to my mortgage brokers and my experts, another couple of quarter points by the end of this year, maybe even more in 2026. And that is going to exert upward pressure on the housing market again. You watch. So brass tacks, if you want to own your home in Canada, if you want to get into a home in Vancouver, it's going to be on your shoulders. Don't trust Carney, Trudeau 2.0 here. Don't trust Gregor Robertson. They're all incompetent. If you're going to get into a home here, it's going to be 100% on your shoulders. Nobody's looking out for you but you. Okay? I'm Jay Coupar. I help buyers and sellers navigate the housing market with real strategies, not government experiments. Feel free to reach out, leave a comment below. See you in the next video.